Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by international Amazon best-selling author and poet, Kelly Watt. Kelly writes about trauma, and she uses her writings and poetry to talk about trauma and the effects and how to help people get through it. So we're going to be talking to her about everything that she's doing and everything that she's up to. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Curtis. It's a pleasure to be here. And
Well, if
thank
you,
you for the introduction.
oh
Yes, go
yeah, I
ahead.
appreciate it. Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm a writer. I was born in Canada, and I'm the author of three books. My first novel was called Mad Dog, and I did a second travel book called Camino Meditations. But I'll be talking about my third book today, which is a collection, as you were saying, of poetry and flash prose called The Weeping Degree. And The Weeping Degree, its full title is The Weeping Degree, How Astrology Saved Me from Suicide. And it tells the history of a trauma following the ripple effect of childhood abandonment and sexual abuse as it echoes throughout the narrator's life. So I use my own life, of course, as a template. And the theme of the book is that trauma slowly transforms through time and healing from a wound to a gift. And I try to explore many avenues of healing in the book, which I did in my own life. And astrology and Buddhism are paramount, I think. So you can think of Me Too, hashtag mental health awareness. And a lot of the book is about coming to terms with the lingering effect of violence, which is something many people experience in this life.
Yeah, well, talk to the listeners about how you got into writing in the first place.
That's a good question. Yeah. So how did I I really started writing from a very young age. And I was taught to read on the books of Dr. Seuss, which people might, that will date me somewhat. And I spent my early childhood in an unofficial foster situation. My mother was a single mom and had to work, of course. And uh, I didn't have a father in the picture at that time. And one of the positives, it's funny, there's often a silver lining in things that are not so great in our lives. And of course, I didn't want to live away from my mother, but I did live in, as I said, unofficial foster care from Sunday nights to Fridays. And in this one particular home that I was in, I remember being very upset one day and the caregiver taking me into a room, which was the playroom. And on one wall of the playroom was a library of books. And she said to me, one day you'll learn how to read these books and you'll get to travel the world. Books are a way of experiencing other people's experiences, a way of broadening our own scope, and a way of developing, I think, compassion for ourselves and for others. And I was intrigued by that. And I remember just being in awe of those books at that time and saying, one day I'm going to read these books. And as I got older, of course, then I wanted to write them.
Well, you turned to astrology and poetry to heal your past. So talk to the listeners about that decision and why you decided to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, first I'll digress a little bit. The book is called The Weeping Degree, and the Weeping Degree is an astrological term, and it refers to the 28th to 30th degree, or the last little section in an individual's astrological chart, or rather, each planet in astrology. The chart is, of course, a circle, and we have different planets in different parts of that circle. Everyone's individual in that way. And the very last section of a house is called the weeping degree, and it refers to a time of descent or demise. It kind of marks the place where everything falls apart, relationships flounder, our dreams are lost before the new energy comes forth, the new life bursts forth. And so the 29th degree kind of forms a theme and a spine of the book where the most devastating of experiences, those that elicit the most tears, often paradoxically provide the richest soil for change and new growth. And when I was going through a very difficult time in my life, I was quite depressed and suicidal. A friend encouraged me to go see an astrologer. And what was interesting about that experience for me is the astrologer said to me, "This is a very difficult chart that you have. You have a very difficult path, and particularly early in life, but later in life, um, your life will improve. And if you embrace healing these difficulties in your life, they will transform." And it gave me hope. And it also gave me a sense that the universe was a benevolent place, that things were working themselves out in time. And I needed to have faith, I guess, and stay the course. So I started working on this book many, many years ago. I loved that term. I love astrology terms. And, in every school of thought, every philosophy, there's different language. And the language can be really interesting and provocative. And I thought, oh gosh, I really want to write a book about the weeping degree and how we all go through these times, where things fall apart, where things fall away from us, and how do we get through them? But I started out trying to do it as a nonfiction book, and it just never really gelled. And then the pandemic came along, and again, my friend who was the astrologer said to me, if you would turn your mind to writing poetry, I think you might find it will come it will flow quite nicely for you if you take that risk. And I thought, oh gosh, I've been writing nonfiction, I've been writing novels, so this was a real pivot. But of course, everyone was pivoting during the pandemic, and I joined a poetry community online, started taking poetry courses with a wonderful American poet named Judith Hill, and ended up becoming a part of this wonderful community. And we brought all our poems together. And as soon as I started taking this course with her, the poems started flowing. And the class was called Manuscript Clan, I think. And it was for people who had been collecting their poems for a long time. And I said, Judith, I haven't been collecting poems. I stopped writing poetry when I was 17, but I want to try my hand at it. I want to come back to it. And I have this idea for a book. And she said, just come, just do it. And I think the pressure partly of having to write every week um, just galvanized me, just set off that spark. And so I was able to write and just let it flow. And it really just fell onto the page in a very short period of time. And the other part of it too was that we had this wonderful poetry community of like-minded souls all coming together from, various different places, Canada, the US, and Mexico. And yeah, we were all sharing, our love of the word and our experiences in life, some of our deepest and darkest experiences. And it was a really healing, um, it was a really healing experience, a really wonderful experience. And that's how the book was born, essentially.
Or what are some of the other healing tools that you used on your journey?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so many. So the book is divided into three parts. I can maybe riff off this. The first part is called The Home for Little Girls, and it's about trauma and separation from a parent. And the second part is called The Buddha and the Pink Futon, which is about the geographical cure and traveling the world. And I was very fortunate to uh, oh, and the third part I should finish off is called Hands Across the World, which is about people coming together and sharing their stories and how collectively we heal one another. But the Buddha and the Pink Futon refers to a time in my life where I was very fortunate to go to my last year of high school in an American school, a missionary school in the Himalayas in India. And I ended out after that in a Buddhist monastery and started studying meditation. And that was my first inkling into the fact that my mind was really beset with incredible fears, and meditation, sitting in the tent, learning to just be with my own thoughts and to be kind to myself kind of opened that door of consciousness. And I began to remember basically a lot of the things that had happened to me. So Buddhism and meditation was kind of the first door I think that I walked through. And one of the things I discovered, of course, when I was sitting with my own thoughts was that, um, I had a lot of emotional distress and I needed to deal with that. And that led me into getting into therapy, psychotherapy. And I was in psychotherapy for many, many years, decades. And that really changed my life. And I also got involved in feminism and feminist spirituality. And so it took me on that healing journey was really, in many ways, the greatest gift of my life, ironically. And I feel quite grateful to it. And in the end, the last technique probably that I learned, and this I actually learned from myself, was EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. And that really, other people might know of it as tapping. It's kind of like psychological acupuncture, I like to call it. It's a quick way of describing it. And that really helped to shift the energy, the stuck energy. And yeah, it was kind of a closing healing section for myself. It really helped me to let go of places that I felt that I was really stuck, really old fears, phobias. I had a terrible phobia for many years, and also, anger and resentment. So this whole last 3 decades in the world, I would say, has been an explosion of healing modalities out there for trauma survivors, and in many ways, these modalities are a real gift to people around the world. I really think that violence is, it's like that Denzel Washington movie, where people pass violence from person to person. And I think that that's true, and that when we heal ourselves, we really heal the world and everyone around us. And there's many ways to do that. And of course, writing is a part of that too. They say that there's all kinds of studies out there now saying that literature, particularly fiction, which I thought was really interesting, increases people's empathy and tolerance and understanding for one another. And certainly we need that now, I think, in the world, and maybe we've always needed it.
Well, you've also used activism as a method of healing as well.
Yes, that's true. I'd forgotten to mention that. At a certain point in my healing journey, I connected with two wonderful women activists, and they were dealing with, they were traveling to the UN and speaking about human trafficking, the violence that young children experience. And we gave several talks at the UN. We were at I think it was the 2006. We presented at a symposium based on violence against the girl child. And it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. We were in New York City, and there were over, I think, 6,000 people there, women from all around the world, all different colors, all different backgrounds, all different clothing. And it was just this gathering, of all these altruistic people who are there essentially just to make the world a better place. And it was, yeah, one of the highlights of my life to speak there, and very, very moving to meet all these other women and all these people who really are working for the benefit of the planet.
Well, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a couple of things coming up. Um, I'm just up north right now. I don't know if you can hear somebody's just turned on their lawnmower. So anyway, I hope it's not too loud. So I'll be reading at the Artist House in Ottawa, Ontario in September, and there'll be an open mic afterwards. And I want to encourage people to go to my website because I list all of my upcoming events there at www.kellywatt.ca. And I'll also be hosting a flash prose class titled Finding Your Epiphany in September on Zoom. So if people want to sign up for my newsletter there, I will be sending them the details about that. And you can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Kelly Watt Author. And my book, The Weeping Degree, is available on Amazon and also Ingram Spark. And I'm working on a new novel. It's a war novel, actually. So yeah, I've got a couple of projects on the go.
Well, talk to the listeners real quick. I know you're an international Amazon best-selling author, but talk to the listeners about the awards you have gotten for your writings.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. I was very fortunate to have the book, The Weeping Degree, become an international Amazon bestseller in August 2024. And really, I have to thank my fans and friends and family who really were just so supportive in coming out and buying the book. That's, of course, what makes a book a bestseller. And, writing, many people put in an effort to make a book a success. The book also went on to become a finalist in the Wishing Shell Book Awards in the UK, and I was really thrilled about that as well. My yeah, my I also won short story awards and things for shorter pieces of fiction and nonfiction, and been on the long list several times with the CBC here in Canada. So yeah, I'm grateful to have had a lot of support around this book, particularly, and it's really been a lot of fun. I've been on a podcast tour for the last couple of months, and it's really been a lot of fun to speak to people about healing, about writing, about all the things that I love.
Well, throw out your website again and also close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Yeah, sure. So once again, at Kelly Watt Author, please follow me on Instagram. I like to post my favorite quotes and my favorite poets. And you can also sign up for my newsletter at www.kellywatt.ca. And I just want to say, the message of the book that I wanted to leave with readers and listeners is that ultimately, I think the universe is a benevolent place. It's people that kind of mess it up, and that it is possible to crawl out from despair, that we can heal our wounds, and in time they will become our gifts. And this is one of the reasons why I really loved your tagline. If you believe you can achieve, I think first you just have to have that belief and to start and act as if. So I wish everyone well out there. And thank you so much, Curtis, for having me today.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. And listeners, please be sure to check out Kelly's writings. They are great and amazing. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform and visit www.curveball337.com for more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Kelly, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Curtis. It really has been a pleasure.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.